Hey everyone, welcome. In this video, we're going to be showing you how to use the MelonDS emulator. It is a NDS emulator. Now, in this emulator, I'm going to be going a little bit more in depth than I usually do with the, with the regular emulators. And the reason I'm going to do that with this emulator, this does have an advantage. Obviously, it's NDS emulator, so you have the separate windows. They do have options on there to resize the windows, put them in different spots, also to put an emphasis on a certain window for different size. So I will be showing you how to set all of that stuff up to make it easier for you while you're gaming. So if you're interested, let's go ahead and open up our browsers. We're going to head over to this website right here. This will be in the description spot, so you guys can go ahead and download that link. So once you go to this page, we are going to go down here. Now it is available for Linux, Mac, and also Windows. The video we're doing now is for Windows 64, so just go ahead and click on that spot right there. Keep in mind that it is for 64-bit. It will not work for Windows 32-bit. So go ahead and click on that, put that in your downloads folder. Once you're done, just go ahead and go to your downloads folder and put that in a folder, preferably the name of the emulator, so you can go ahead and get that started. Once you click on it, it will go ahead and generate the files that you need. For right now, ignore the fact that you see the reshade shaders in there. It does work with reshade, but I will not have the reshade on for the video. So go ahead and double click on the file here to get that started. I'm going to show you how I got this set up to run with your joystick. And also I recommend, if you're using this and you want to take full advantage of it, you can map the keys to the keyboard. It is way simpler to do it through your gamepad. So I suggest, if you do it, get yourself a gamepad that's either similar to the PlayStation with the left and right triggers, and also the Xbox type joysticks. I personally myself am using the Logitech F310 joystick, which works super well with this. That joystick I recommend. Now, it does not have the like the vibration features and so forth, but it is a great little economical joystick if you want to do emulation. And it does have the left and right triggers and dual analog, so you might want to look into that if you're looking for a economical joystick for emulation. So let's go ahead. Once we get this open, I'm going to go ahead and show you the spots here. This one here, you can pretty much leave everything alone in here. This just shows you, the shift combinations to save the state. So saving is shift and then one F keys, and then to load, it's, whatever corresponding F key minus the shift key. And this will take you straight to the directory, which you could probably leave that alone, because once you load the ROMs up from the directory for the first time, it is going to remember that location. For system, you can put the date and time here. I never even messed with that. View, now this part here, you kind of need to learn this so you can take advantage of the features that I was telling you. So right here, when you do your layout, you can choose natural, vertical. This is literally going to be, the unit, the way it looks from top to bottom. Horizontal will line up the windows left to right. And with hybrid, you'll have the main window to the left and a smaller window on the upper right, and the bottom window on the bottom right. And with this, you'll want to swap screens. This you can leave unchecked, because I'm going to show you how to map that to a joystick key, so you can swap the screens from there without having to exit to this menu here. So again, these are the layouts. This is the scaling. Now I'm going to show you these one by one, because all the features will not work with every single sizing of the screen. So I'll show you what they look like on each one, and your aspect ratio here. Now this one, you can make it look a little bit more stretched out, and you can pick the resolution size on the top window and also the bottom. And I'll go ahead and show you the differences. So for right now, what I'm going to do, launch it first here with the the 4.3, the native one. So as you can see, when I did that, it changed the bottom one to the other one, because I have even set on this one. And then you got your filtering on. This will make it a little bit smoother, so you can leave that checked. Also leave the OSD checked. And then on here, we'll go one by one on here. This you can pretty much leave alone, unless you intend on using the the boot, the BIOS and things like that. I am not going to be showing you how to mess with that on this one, so you can more or less just leave that alone. This is where you're going to do the input and hotkey. So let's go ahead and take a look at that one now. Your first option is going to be the joystick mapping. So this, you're going to map to your joystick. Self-explanatory. It shows you the buttons on here. So left button, right button, and you got up, left, right, and down. So if you're using a analog joystick, you can choose to do that on the digital part of it or the analog. It's all up to you. You got your select and your start button down here, and X, Y, B, and A down here. So you can go ahead and do that. Now, if you want to switch to the keyboard mapping, you would click on here. But like I said, this is way easier to play and to maneuver around with your joystick. These are going to be add-ons. So this is if you want to do the add-on for this game here. We're not going to be messing with that here. And then your general hotkeys. So this is the part you want to concentrate on. The left side is going to be the keyboard mappings, so you can do both. So let's say, for example, if you have a joystick that doesn't have the full features of the right trigger, left trigger, you can go ahead and assign spots that you don't have available on your joystick. You can do that through the keyboard mappings here. I'm going to be showing you just the joystick mappings on this side, so you can follow what I have here, or you can do your own. So right now the way I have this set up is for fast forward, it's going to be the right trigger. There's a lot of other options here you can choose to use. I just left those blank because I'm concentrating on the ones I'm showing you here on the video. Toggle full screen, I set that to the what they call the press down on the right analog stick. But again, you can choose whatever button you have on yours, or like I said, if you're short on buttons, you can assign it to keyboard mappings on this side. So the swap screens, I did it with button 5, trigger 5. And then swap screens. Now this one I assigned it to the analog pad on the right side. You can choose to do whatever you want. I just do that to keep it separate from the other stuff. That way I don't end up hitting that by mistake, and changing the screen emphasis when I'm playing. And then you have your power up, volume down, settings and so forth. So I left it at these. Feel free to go ahead and assign that as you want. But the reason I'm showing you this is so you can get a feel for what you can do with the joystick. So once those are set, you can go ahead and hit OK. Camera settings, you can actually choose to put your camera on here if you have a camera mounted on your computer. And if you do have separate ones, obviously you can do the options from there. The audio settings, you can pick interpolation here. You can change it, leave it as is. I left everything on default. If you want to use a microphone, obviously you're going to go ahead and click that to external microphone. I do not want that on when I'm playing, so I have the none option on there. Multiplayers, we're not going to mess with here. Wi-Fi settings, we're not going to do that. Firmware settings, we are not going to play with. The path settings, you could pretty much leave alone. If you leave them blank, it's just going to default to the the default directory where you have the emulator installed. And let's see, and the only one we're really worried about here is when you load the ROMs, and that will tell you the first time you point to that folder. You want to limit the frame rate so it's not going super fast, and you want to sync the audio, so those are all on. So let's go ahead and launch a ROM here. I am going to do the Mario Brothers 1. Or not the new, it's the new Super Mario Brothers. So let's go ahead and launch that. And once you launch it, let me go ahead and deactivate reshade. All right, so the first time you launch it, you're more than likely going to get this small window. If you want to go full screen, just go ahead and hit the keyboard button or the map that you map to full screen, and you're going to get it to look like this. So now this is the way it looks with the default I set. So I'm going to go back here and show you that is the view that was set for natural and even. So that means that your top screen and bottom screen are going to be the exact size that you chose from the aspect ratio here. Now you can go ahead, and substitute different sizes for it. Keep in mind that whatever you have picked down there will affect the emphasis button if you don't have that, as the primary option. So right there, I hit the button and you see it's keeping the windows the same and swapping them from top to bottom. So that is the, whatever button you assign to the swap. And let's go ahead and minimize that again. So what I'm going to show you here, if you want to do the emphasis setting, you're going to do the screen sizing, and you're going to do one of these two options here. Once you pick that, it's going to emphasize, whichever one you pick. So as you can see, once you go full screen, it's emphasized depending on which one you have. So right now I'm switching for the button that I mapped to the analog on the right side going up, that is going to switch the sizes of the window. In other words, it emphasizes one window over the other one. So in order to get it to work like this, you want to make sure that you have that emphasized top or bottom option selected on the top, and then you can go ahead like this. This is kind of cool because it'll give you a bigger window, on the top when you want to focus on that. And then when you need to do something on the bottom, you can quickly swap to the bottom and make that bigger. So let's go ahead and minimize the window again. Now, if you want to go ahead and just do top only, you can actually swap from the top window to the bottom window the same way you did earlier. So right now I just picked the top, and now when I swap with the button that I have allocated to that, it's going to go from the top window to the bottom. So this can kind of come in handy where games where you're really not going to need to go much to the bottom window, so you can keep the main game window sized to take up the whole screen. So let's go back, and I'm going to go ahead and put it back the way I had it. So remember, so your screen layout natural, you can do vertical, top to bottom, horizontal. And now the one I'm going to show you now here is the hybrid. So let's go switch to that. So this one is kind of odd, but I guess some people may like this. You have the main window on the top right, but small, and then a small, bottom window on the right, and the bigger window on the left side. And this will also work if you do the the key that you have to swap windows. As you can see, it's swapping that. All right, so that is pretty much it with that one. Now, one more thing I'm going to show you is you can actually go in here. Let me go ahead and eject the cart. You can go in here for the settings and actually go into the input and hotkeys and set up like different features if you want. For example, like I said, the add-ons here, the general keys here. So here you can go ahead and set stuff up. For example, like if you do not have the joystick buttons on your any more buttons available, you can do everything from right here. So you got things like slow-mo, frame frames per second limit, and things of that nature. So once again, this will come in handy if you do run out of buttons on your controller. You always have the options to bind them to the keyboard. One of the features that I use a ton, and I recommend using this for games that may swap from one level to the next one, and there's like a long pause between things loading, you can go ahead and hit the button that you have allocated to your fast forward, and you can change the speed of that instead of you having to wait. That comes in handy for games like Pokemon, games like Mario Brothers, where sometimes once you finish, you climb on the flag, you have to wait a little bit for that little animation sequence to complete. You can go ahead and go through that fast by hitting the fast forward. And then you can also have the fast forward toggle. I recommend the fast forward on its own because that one's gonna, the minute you press the button, it's gonna go fast. The minute you let go, it's going to go back to normal speed. With the toggle, you'd have to hit it twice. You'd have to hit it once to activate it, and then once again to stop it, where the other one is a little bit quicker because it's just activated, fast forward down and back to normal on release. So that is more or less the options that I wanted to show you that you have available with the MelonDS version. This is the latest release, 1.0. There are different versions that you can get that are nightly builds. I usually do the videos with the ones that are the current ones at the moment, as sometimes the newer ones may have bugs, just because they haven't been officially released. They're still nightly builds. So that is it for that one. Hope you guys enjoy that. There is a different video that I did for the other emulator, and that's why I decided to do this one with the MelonDS. Another heads up, this is also available as a Libretro, or however they pronounce that word, for the RetroArch, and you can also use it on there. A lot more difficult to maneuver in the RetroArch. That's why I like to use it as a standalone on its own. That is it for the video. If you guys make use of this, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. And with that, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.